All right. Good morning, everyone. So this is our first virtual coffee date. Apologize for the technical difficulties. I don't know what was up with YouTube this morning. It just did not want to work. So I appreciate you taking your time. I might, just to kind of curb all of that, I might just kind of do Zoom meetings instead. They seem a little bit more reliable than the YouTube world has been lately. So I'll start posting these probably maybe Wednesday or Thursday. I'll start posting the Zoom links so that you guys can just connect right away through there instead of having to worry about live streaming and all that nonsense and losing connection with YouTube, which is what happened this morning. We do have a lot of clouds overhead right now. I don't know if that would even be a factor, but whatever. Technology is going to do what it's going to do. But I'm so happy you're here this morning. Grab your coffee, grab your tea, get nice and comfortable. We're going to talk this morning about judgment, which I know is an off topic. It's not something that we tend to think about or acknowledge or really like super hyper focus on. We just do it naturally, and then that's just what it is. So I want you to bring attention to it this morning, of actually thinking of what comes to mind when you think of judgment. And I'll just give you a moment. What comes to mind when you think about it? And if it stirs up any kind of emotions in yourself, just take a step back. You don't need to dive that far just yet. We will, but not just yet. When you think about judgment, do you think of judgment towards yourself or towards others? With that question, it can open up a lot of other things of like, oh, well, I just naturally judge myself. Of course I judge other people. Yeah, it's a natural thing to do both. Judgment is completely natural, and it is something that we cannot control. You know, our ego is so strong in us, even in those that, you know, say, I don't have an ego. I am a sattvic, balanced being. I have no ego. They do. They just have it under control. They know how to acknowledge it. Say, okay, thank you, ego. And then move on. So now I'll ask you, what do you think happens when you judge? Could be yourself, could be others. What do you think happens? I'll wait. Not only does it start to kind of affect your emotions, but it entirely takes you out of the moment, and it takes you out of yourself. So there's negatives and positives with judgment. I'll let you think of what some negative judgments would be. That one might be easier than thinking of a positive judgment. Negative judgments can be worrying, anger, anxiety, stress. It can stir up all of these emotions, right? Of jealousy. Those are the harsh side of judgment. There's another side of judgment that you wouldn't expect to be called judgment, but it is. And that is the side of daydreaming. Daydreaming takes you out of the present moment, takes you out of yourself. Maybe it makes you crave a different scenario, can completely pull you from where you are. So those are our negatives and positives. They are completely natural, but we have to find a way to switch the mindset. Again, to have a more sattvic or balanced mind. Being able to acknowledge these things and still be present. So how do you create that? And keep in mind, all of the discussions that I have with you all, or that I'm going to have with you all, are all things that I am still forever going to be a student of, forever going to be working on. Every single day. That's why it is called practice. It is the yoga practice. So we have to be mindful every single day to keep up the momentum, to keep up the balance, to be able to keep that, keep our judgments down, live in the moment, right? We're living our lives with intention. Oh, I got a lot going on back there now. But to live your life with intention, with purpose, with movement, with strength, with compassion. So a lot of you know I deeply connect to the 8 limbs of yoga, which if anyone is interested in me doing little coffee discussions, dissecting the 8 limbs, that is my bread and butter. That is like my favorite thing to talk about because it has been life-changing for me. And it is something I practice every day. I try to. I'm not always successful, but it's the act of trying. I have the mindset of I want to do this, right? That's all you can do. And if at the end of the day you said that I did all I can do, that's all you can do. And that's all right. So judgment kind of connects to the yamas and niyamas, which are the first and second limbs of the 8 limbs. Now there's 5 of each. There's a lot going on within those, but there are inner and outward observances, right? So with judgment, you have both. You have the inward and outward judgments. You judge yourself, you judge others. How do we confront that? How do you become more compassionate and genuine and present with yourself and with others? There's a few ways. One main way is meditation. Meditation is a quick way to confront your thoughts, and it is a powerful way to confront your thoughts. It can be an emotional way to confront your thoughts, and it can be tricky. But starting a practice with no judgment, no expectation is the way to begin. So I took a workshop. I'll use a little story. I took a workshop. I'll get nice and comfortable too. I took a workshop last week about meditation with a very good friend of mine, Steph Strauss. And her meditation practice started with her just designating 1 minute a day for her to sit and breathe. And that's it. She had made one intention, stuck with that intention for an entire year. It's one of those like, say it till you believe it kind of situations, right? Not every affirmation or intention is something that you genuinely feel. They can be things that you want. It's your goal, something that's going to guide you. You'll hear me when I teach, I'll say, set your intention. Maybe it's a word, phrase, person, place, thing that's going to guide you throughout your practice on and off of the mat. That's getting rid of the judgment. It's trying to get rid of the ego. Your mind is allowed to wander in your practice, in your meditation. The challenge with that is being able to acknowledge when it is wandering and bring your intention or your affirmation back into focus. So if it is to one that I say all the time, my biggest affirmation for the day is usually I am worthy. Now in my practice, that's my safe space, right? That's where I go for comfort, is my mat or my pillow, whichever one's craving me the most that day. But I say I am worthy. And when my mind starts to wander, which even when I'm teaching, my mind wanders. It's a natural thing. It happens. But I just imagine this big teleprompter. It's big, picture a black movie screen, right? I don't remember the name of it. Whatever one has the minions, Pixar, whatever you want to imagine. You know how the big word just appears on the screen and it's just that word. It is the focal point in that moment. That's where I put my power word. If my word is worthy, I close my eyes, imagine my big teleprompter, my big movie screen, and I just put that word right there until it's back fresh in my mind and guiding me through my practice. If you're doing a meditation that's guided and your mind starts to wander, gain that control back of your breath. It's the easiest way. It can be so annoying. I've seen so many things online where they talk about how the most annoying thing that people say when, you're feeling anxious or, whatever kind of negative emotion, people just tell you to breathe. It's so annoying. So this, and this. They say it because it's true. Breathing is the quickest way to calm down your nervous system, turn off that fight or flight. All you need is 3 breaths to ground yourself. Anything after that, that's just extra love you're giving your body. So that's one way. One long, tangled way. Start your meditation practice. Give yourself a designated spot. It is the spot you are only going to practice meditation there at the same time every day for X amount of minutes. The breathing you can do wherever you need to, but give yourself the space. And what that does, when you start to get those thoughts, get your affirmation, get your word, get your picture, whatever it is that's guiding you that day, get that into focus. And when those thoughts start coming in, those judgmental of, I'm not meditating correctly, I've got this, and this to do, and you're getting distracted. I like to call that background noise. When that starts to really come up for you, I want you to go, thank you, ego. I hear you. I acknowledge how you're feeling, but I'm doing this right now. I'm doing this right now. Maybe I'll deal with that later. And actually have that conversation with your ego to say, I don't have time for that right now. I'm doing this. I'm connecting with myself instead. See how that works for you. That's one way to calm down those judgments. So another way that has been very special to me in the last year, a little over a year now, has been the most brilliant quote, changed my life forever, is be on your own mat. And now one of my instructors, Megan, which some of you may know, she said that in the very first maybe weekend of our teacher training. And that stuck with me so hard in so many aspects of my life. And it is something that I try to constantly remind myself when I'm getting nosy or too worked up or whatever, where I'm not staying in my lane, not minding my own business. Be on your own mat is having a different kind of discussion with your ego. If Edgar barks, I apologize. It's a different conversation with your ego. Be on your own mat is focus on yourself. Now in the studios, it's easy to judge. Which might feel wrong saying that, but it is. You've got so many people practicing around you. Is their practice better than mine? Is it worse than mine? Does that make me feel good that they're a beginner and I'm not? Or does it make me feel worse that they're popping up in a shoulder stand and I'm in child's pose? Or a different way to combat the ego is this pose really does not work in my body and I'm forcing myself into it. Not listening to your body is a different form of judgment. You're judging yourself because you can't do it. So you're forcing yourself into injury. That's something that I have done. I did that in my teacher training. I shredded the muscles, my pec muscles, because I was trying to get into a pose that does not work in my body. No matter how much I practice and try to get into it, My body's not shaped that way, and that's okay. That is you judging yourself and doing that comparison. So be on your own mat. Let's focus on yourself. Anything beyond your mat, that's none of your business. Be in your practice. How do you do that out in the world? Mind your business. You know, a lot of us, we love to gossip. Gossip is a nasty, I'm going to call it a disease. It is something that people thrive on. They love the discomfort of other people and knowing that people are uncomfortable because it makes them feel better about themselves. That's what judgment is. Which judgment does that fall under? It's rough. It gives you a good emotion, but it's toxic out in the world. And that's where you come back to those yamas and niyamas, your inner and outward observances. The yamas are you confronting yourself so that you can project this beautiful self outward. You have to work on yourself first. And the first thing to really get in tune with is your ego. Don't make it your enemy by any stretch. Your ego is there to protect you. Your ego is there as a way to kind of let you know that you feel threatened. It is a natural response. You can't help it. But what you can do is communicate with it. When judgment comes up, it's something that I really like to do is really have that conversation of, thank you, ego. I appreciate you acknowledging that, but I don't feel threatened right now. That's the quickest way to start dealing with judgment. That's the quickest way to kind of calm down that nervous system, right? Your fight or flight is something that is so present all the time. People with anxiety like myself, it never turns off. We can't help it. It never turns off and it doesn't want to. But what we can do is start having the conversations of allowing it to calm down and say, I am not threatened right now. Stop making me judge myself. I'm okay. I'm going to do this right now. And if you're out in the world and you can't get into your safe space, just close your eyes if you're in a place where you can do that. If you're not, just start taking those 3 breaths. Ground yourself back down. That's all you can do. Those are the steps to kind of alleviate, create more self-awareness. So that's our talk about judgment. I know we went on a crazy roadmap, but there's a lot to cover with one word. One word can have so many crazy attachments. So today, I want you to acknowledge those attachments. Be more compassionate, not just towards others, towards yourself. And if at any moment you realize that you're not being that way, you're not being compassionate, you're not being self-aware, you're being damaging to yourself or to others, you need to step back and acknowledge it. Have that conversation with your ego. It might not be a fun conversation the first couple of times. It might be a genuine, like, I hear you, ego, and you're right. No. Unless you're genuinely threatened, your ego probably isn't right. So keep that in mind today. This is our first step into creating a more sattvic mindset, creating more self-awareness, becoming more genuine, compassionate people, and confronting our new friend, one that we give too much attention to, but don't talk to enough. So enjoy your coffee. Have fun taking this knowledge on and off of your mat. Stop judging yourself. Listen to your body. That's all you can do. So, perfect timing for him to start barking. Enjoy your coffee and enjoy the rest of your day. and I will talk to you all later.